Why the person who has an avoidant attachment style can be more likely to cheat. That does not mean that everyone who has an avoidant attachment style, particularly the DA, is going to cheat. It is just some reasons why they are more likely to and what they get out of it. Leslie Wells, Connection Coach. I help individuals repair, heal, work on their relationships, work on their relationship to their self by looking at things through an attachment lens. So they can identify their own attachment styles, their own attachment wounds, their triggers, how their partner's triggering them, and understand their partner's attachment style. This helps them to be able to identify negative cycles within the relationship, negative patterns, how they are triggering their partner, and vice versa, so that they can improve their relationship. If you're not familiar with a dismissive avoidant attachment style, or a DA, then go back and look at some of my other videos. You need to take a deep dive to understand them. So here's some reasons why the dismissive avoidant will actually end up being someone, a lot of times, how they can end up into cheating based on their attachment style. So one of the things that we know about the DA is that they did not receive emotional attunement as a child, so they are not in tune with their own emotions. And so it is much easier for them to suppress their emotions, which means that they can suppress their feelings towards their partner whenever they maybe have good feelings that are making them uncomfortable and making them want to go into that pull away where they are feeling uncomfortable with the emotions that they have towards their partner. So they're more able to shut down good feelings about their partner. They also tend to look at their partner through a negative bias whenever they feel trapped, stuck, or smothered in the relationship. They will start to think that there's something wrong with the relationship and the partner rather than recognize their role in the relationship and the problems. And so they already have this ability to shut down good feelings about their partner, to see the negative things and really hone in on them about their partner, which sets them up for a perfect opportunity to have an affair. If you're thinking negative thoughts about your partner and you automatically, because of your attachment style, feel trapped and stuck inside of a relationship, and then you think that there's no way that you're going to be able to show up good in a relationship, that you are going to fail your partner, that you are a failure, that if your partner sees you, then they are going to see how defective you are inside, then a little bit of external validation will make you feel really good. If you constantly feel like you're unable to show up well in a committed relationship, that you don't have what it takes to show up well, that you're a failure to your partner, and that you are defective and bad, then someone who gives you a little bit of external validation is going to feel really good, give you some dopamine hits, and you're going to be on a slippery slope to easily have an affair. They also have an uncanny ability to be able to compartmentalize. DAs are really good at this. They can think about one thing at a time and shut things out. So for someone to be able to engage in an affair, they really have to be able to compartmentalize, because eventually the misalignment and the cognitive dissonance of what your values are and what you're doing versus your commitment is going to eat you alive. And so this is an internal conflict that most people have. But for the DA, who can more easily compartmentalize, it's easier for them to separate their behavior in the affair from their behavior in the relationship. And so they can compartmentalize who they are, and they can suppress any bad negative feelings of guilt, conviction, shame. They're more easily able to stuff those down for a while. Shame will always come back up. They will become dysregulated within their body and their nervous system, but they can avoid these negative feelings a lot longer, and so it's easier for them to engage in an affair. They already use disassociation and numbing and escaping as a coping mechanism. They are already so well trained and so used to being able to suppress their emotions and distract. So you also see them not only engaging in cheating more often, but a lot of times pornography. A lot of times people who are addicted to pornography are avoidants, because they tend to suppress, distract, and pornography and addictive behaviors is often a way that we see these individuals distract and suppress. Another reason that they are more likely to engage in affairs, or it can happen for them, is they prefer superficiality. I don't even know if that's a word, but I've been using it lately, so we're going to roll with it. They prefer relationships that are superficial because they don't want to be seen. It is extremely difficult for them to be vulnerable and transparent and open. Remember, they have this inherent feeling that I'm broken and I'm defective, so they don't want to be vulnerable, because if they open up, people will see that inside of them. That's their subconscious dialogue. And so they prefer situations where they can be superficial. It's easy. One of their needs is harmony and peace and a lack of conflict in a relationship. So an affair typically is a delusional type of relationship. It's not a true relationship where you have expectations, you have commitment, you have, all the things that go into a relationship. It's sort of like the beginning stages of a relationship, where it's that romantic phase, that honeymoon phase. And so it's full of superficial stuff. There's no commitment. There's no expectations. There's not a lot of conflict. And so it's easy. It's carefree. It gives lots of dopamine hits. And that is something that is just falls right in line with what they are looking for, because they're not good at the other stuff. They also very much have a spirit of rebellion. They hate to be controlled. And they also cannot stand the thought of losing themselves in a relationship or becoming enmeshed in a relationship. One of their big fears is losing their autonomy and their independence. And they're so used to, they grew up meeting all of their own needs and having to self-regulate. And so they're kind of like a loner. And so the thought of losing that sense of self in a relationship terrifies them. So if they're in a relationship and they feel that they are being controlled, if they feel that they are losing themselves in the relationship, this might be sort of a act of rebellion to get themselves back and to sort of sabotage the relationship and feel like they don't owe anything to anyone and that they are not being controlled in the relationship. Another major problem with the DA is because they are not comfortable with vulnerability and they do not know how to deal with their emotions or the overwhelming emotions of others. They are not able to express their needs. A lot of the time when I work with DAs, they do not even know their needs. And so if you're not able to express your needs and you don't know what they are, you're probably not going to get all of your needs met in a relationship. But they don't go away just because you can't identify them and express them and get them met. And so really early on, when their parents were unable to emotionally care for them in the proper ways, the dismissive avoidant sort of squashed their needs. And they said, okay, I'm not going to get my needs met. Other people cannot do that for me. So it's up to me to do this. And I'm defective because I can't get my needs met. And so they count on themselves to get their needs met. Well, in reality, you can't meet all of your needs. Neither can one person meet your whole bucket of needs. So they're not identifying their needs. They're not able to express them vulnerably. So they probably have needs that they're not getting met. However, just because you're not able to express them doesn't mean they don't need to be fulfilled. And so they will eventually work themselves out some way. So people who do not identify their needs and get them met will oftentimes find bad ways of getting their needs met because their nervous system is dysregulated. A lot of times they're in a trauma response and they adapt these coping mechanisms. So they may go to seek out getting their needs met in unhealthy ways, and one of those ways can be cheating. Again, a lot of times that way is pornography too, but that is something that will happen a lot of times because they don't verbally express their needs. I see a lot of crap on social media where people are like, oh, well, they must not be getting something out of their relationship. There is some truth to that, but a lot of times it's not because the partner is unwilling to meet their needs. It's because they don't even know their needs. They're unaware of them and they can't express them. So the partner never gets a chance to even show up well before they go out and they cheat or do whatever. And we see that a lot with avoidance. Another thing about the DA is they really, a lot of times when they were children, they had no emotional attunement, but their parents really rewarded them for accomplishment and achievement. So they really throw themselves into that as a way to feel like they are enough and to overcome that defectiveness wound. And so a lot of times they will throw themselves into hobbies and they will get really good at something, or they'll be really good at their job. And so getting an affair partner can feel like a sense of accomplishment and achievement. And so it kind of feeds into that same premise of, I can go out there and work really hard and just, get really good at a hobby and pursue this, accomplish it, achieve it. And so the being able to pursue and sort of get that affair partner can create a sense of accomplishment that makes them feel like they are something. It feeds that need for external validation and feeling like they are good enough and they're not defective. And it's sort of that way of building themselves back up through an accomplishment or achievement. And I know it sounds terrible to say that you're accomplishing something when you capture a person, but that thrill seeking and being able to obtain it and get that desire back really plays into that. So again, not all avoidant attachment styles are people who are going to go up and cheat. It has not just to do with attachment style. It has a lot to do with character, trauma, wounds, how people deal with things, whether or not they are healthy. People who are securely attached, that are healthy individuals, do not cheat in relationships. They will put up boundaries. They will find other ways to get their needs met. They will leave a relationship before they engage in cheating. But these are some of the ways that people who are unhealthy, that do have trauma, that go into trauma responses or have insecure attachment style, particularly the avoidant, this is sometimes what they will do or how they will end up in cheating and why they are more likely a lot of times to cheat.